Hey guys, here's a Warlock PvP talent overview from our main team, Warlock.
My name is Egotastical. I am a Destro Lock in the guild Lizard Squad, and I'm going through some talents for Destro. So I'm going to talk through each talent, read what the tooltip says, and tell you why I'm picking each one particularly. Um, so Dark Regeneration restores 20% maximum health over 12 seconds. You and your pet, and receive increases all healing received by 25% for the duration. Soul Leech, Incinerate, Shadow Burn, and Chaos Bolt grant you and your pet a shield 15% for 15 seconds for the damage that you deal. And Ember Tap causes your Ember Tap causes 50% more healing and refunds 50% of its Burning Ember cost. So for Destro, uh, the Ember Tap is the best to go with. Pretty much my opinion and pretty much everyone else's opinion too. Ember Tap's the best way to go because with the Ember Tap healing 50% more, and as you stack Mastery for Destro, as you can see down in the tooltip here at the bottom right hand side, heals for 7.94% of your health, which is a pretty considerable amount, and the fact that it only costs half of a full Ember means you can do it twice and get a heal for near 16% off of one Ember, which is a lot better than if you had Soul Leech, to where you might do a pretty fair amount of damage, but you don't do enough consistent damage for PvP to keep that shield up for it to be useful. And Dark Regeneration can be good, um, but it's not as good as Searing Flame due to it's a 2-minute cooldown, whereas Searing Flame you can use whenever you have embers, and it's pretty easy to generate embers uh, based off of the level 100 talent, which we'll get to at the end. The next talent tree, you have your Haliter, causes 5 enemies within you to flee. It's reduced in PvP. That says 20 seconds, but it's not quite that long. Being hit reduces the cooldown. Mortal Coil horrifies an enemy into fleeing, incapacitates them, gives you some health back in the process, and Shadow Fury stuns all enemies within 8 yards for 3 seconds. So, um, for this, Mortal Coil for Destro not useful in the least bit. It doesn't provide enough CC that you want to be able to put out, um, and the heal is not high enough to marginalize having it. Now, Haliterror and Shadow Fury can be situational based on what you're doing. So, like for Destro, sometimes I go Haliterror for spinning flags on certain flag maps. Sometimes I'll do Shadow Fury. A lot of the time I'll do Shadow Fury for when we're doing team fighting, in like flag carrying type maps, Temple Kamagu, stuff like that. Um, so either of those are interchangeable just based on what you're doing, your team comp, and kind of how everything works out. So the next is you have Soul Link, 20% of the damage taken is split between you and your pet, and then you heal for 3% of the damage that you and your demon do. Sacrificial Pact sacrifices 20% of your demon's health, or if you don't have a demon active, it's 20% of your health for a 400% shield. So it's a pretty nice amount. So it takes 20% of the health that it sacrifices, and then extrapolates that 4 times. So that's the shield that you receive from that. Then Dark Bargain prevents all damage for 8 seconds, but when it ends, you take 50% of the damage as a dot over 8 seconds. Now, for this, it's kind of an up in the air. Most people run Dark Bargain based on the fact that it's like having a pally bubble that you can pop, and then you can let your healers know that you're going to be taking a lot of damage shortly after, so they can get ready to compensate for it, instead of just a lot of damage coming on you at one time that they can't handle and you end up dying. Soul Link can be good. Um, this is also based off of the level 75 talent, which we'll get to. But if you sacrifice your pet, it gives you 20% more health, so you have a higher health pool, but you don't have the cooldown to keep yourself alive long enough. And Sacrificial Pact, this is a good talent for different specs, not for Destro particularly. It doesn't have near as much utility. You lose. I mean, you don't want to sacrifice your own health. That's also based off of the 75 talent that we'll get to, because you'd sacrifice your health instead of your pet's health. So Dark Bargain's the best way to go for this. Now the level 60 talent is very, it's like a two-way street based on what you're going up against. So we'll start with Blood Horror. Anytime a melee attacks you while this is up, you have one charge of it. It fears them. Uh, Burning Rush increases your movement speed, but it takes health from you, and you cannot be reduced below 100% movement speed. So slows don't work, but you take damage when you have it on. And Unbind Will, it's like a second trinket. It costs 20% of your maximum health, though. All these cost health. The Blood Horror takes 5% of your maximum health. Now, Burning Rush is about completely useless in PvP because you don't want to take extra damage, and a little bit of movement speed isn't that big of a deal. Now, Blood Horror, this is good if you're going up against melee heavy teams. 1 minute cooldown is very nice to have when you're not trying to focus fear a melee DPS that is on you. It's good to have it to pop them, get them off you, reset, get out of position, hope they change targets. Unbound Will is also really good to have, very situational. It's like having a second trinket if you have to, if you know you're going to get yourself put in 1v1s a lot, or if you're going to need to be spinning, if for any particular reason, and you need to be able to get out of a CC and spin a flag. Unbound Will is the way to go. So between Blood Horde and Unbound Will, it's completely situational. A lot of it's also based on playstyle, so either of them are good to have for PvP. Now the level 75 talents. Gamora Supremacy. Your command demon, they get 20% more damage from their abilities. Gamora's Service, you can summon another pet to fight next to you for 20 seconds, so you'll have two pets out for 20 seconds. And then Gamora's Sacrifice. You sacrifice your pet and you gain extra damage on other abilities. So for this, you get increases the damage of your Incinerate, Chaos Bolt, and Shadow Burn by 20%. It does not apply to spells affected by Fire and Brimstone, which is a spell that you have that you can read on your own, but it does not affect that based on the tooltip, and it causes you to regenerate health every 8 seconds. So, alright, so Gamora Supremacy. Now, the reason why we don't run this is because pets die really easily. At least Warlock pets die very easily in RBGs. There's a lot of AoE damage going out. There's more people that can hit it constantly, so your pet dies really fast. Therefore, Gamora Supremacy doesn't have a lot of weight because you have a spell that allows you Flames of whatever, I don't even want to try to pronounce it. You can instantly revive your pet, but that causes you to lose an Ember, which reduces your overall DPS because, I mean, that's an extra Chaos Bolt you lost out on, and pets do die very frequently in PvP. Gamora Service, exact same thing as the Gamora of Supremacy. Having your pet out doesn't do a lot of good for you. They both are going to die. Even the one you summon has a health pool, it'll still die, so it's not very good. And so Gamora's Sacrifice is the only way to go because you get out a lot of Chaos Bolts, which is played off of the level 100 talent that we'll get to. It allows you to get off more Chaos Bolts, and your Chaos Bolts are a huge chunk of your damage. So Gamora Sacrifice is the only way to go. Now, level 90 talents, you got Archimon's Darkness. Dark Soul now has 2 charges. Pretty simple. It's your cooldown. The cooldown itself gives you 30% more crit, which increases your Chaos Bolt damage, which is nice. Kil'jaeden's Cunning, so every minute allows you to run around while casting for 8 seconds. And then Monaroth's Fury increases AoE damage, Seed of Corruption, Hellfire, Immolation, Aura, and Rain of Fire. For Monaroth's Fury, for Destro, is Rain of Fire. Having more area of effect on Rain of Fire is not near as good nowadays, since they reduce the amount of embers you get out of it, so it's almost completely useless. Archimon's Darkness and Kil'jaeden's Cunning, a lot of it is based on playstyle. Like, if you constantly pop cooldowns like I do every time I see my trinket up, Archimon's Darkness is definitely the way to go, but Kil'jaeden's Cunning can be good to where if you are going to be in one-on-one situations a lot, it works for arenas. Sometimes if you're going up against melee heavy teams, you can move around and cast. Other than that, I usually stick with Archimon's Darkness just based on the sole fact that 30% more crit increases 30% more damage from Chaos Bolt. Therefore, it's a lot better to go with, in my opinion. Now, our level 100 talents that played on our Syrian Flames we were talking about and Gamora's Sacrifice. So, Charred Remains, Incinerate and Conflagrate deals 60% less damage. That's actually getting changed relatively soon to 50% less damage. And they generate 200% more burning embers. So you can get your embers faster and faster by conflagrating and incinerating than you could before, which allows you to get off more chaos bolts, which in turn allows you to put out more DPS and nuke people down. Cataclysm conjures the Cataclysm in an area. It's an area of effect like on the ground that you place itself. It has a cast time. It's fairly long, 2.77 seconds. But it puts a immolate on every single target and then does damage to them at the same time. Demonic Servitude allows you to use Doom Guards and Infernals as permanent pets. Now, the reason why we don't use Demonic Servitude, as I said earlier, with the 75 talent is pets die very, very easily. Therefore, it's not good to have them out in PvP. I mean, they don't put out enough damage to marginalize having Gamora Sacrifice. Cataclysm, honestly, I think if Cataclysm was a shorter cooldown, it would be a better talent. But a minute cooldown and having a very long cast time on it makes it very improbable for PvP because everyone's moving around a lot. I mean, you don't have like it's good for PvE because things don't move; they sit still. But PvP, it's almost impossible to get damage out, and so Charred Remains is the way to go. Due to the fact that you get burning embers faster, you can put out chaos bolts faster, increase your damage, nuke some people down. And that is it. That wraps up all of our talents for a Destro Warlock for PvP.
Hey guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those in the comments section below.